Rain fell softly over the cracked pavement, turning dust into thin streams that ran down the gutter like tiny rivers of sadness. The town had gone quiet after the storm, except for the sound of a little girl's voice, thin, trembling, but full of something that stopped people in their tracks. "Buy my bike, sir, please. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." The man she spoke to, broad-shouldered in a worn leather jacket, his beard glistening with raindrops, froze. He was one of 6 bikers who had just rolled into town, their engines still humming as they parked outside a faded diner. He looked down at the girl standing in the drizzle, her pink bicycle leaning against her small body as if it were too heavy for her to hold up. Her hair was damp and tangled, clinging to her cheeks. Her clothes were too thin for the weather. An oversized sweater, sleeves rolled past her tiny hands, and jeans with one knee torn open. Her eyes, they weren't just pleading. They were exhausted. The kind of exhaustion no child should know. "Sweetheart," the biker said, his voice softening, "why are you out here in the rain?" She bit her lip, fighting tears. "Because Mommy's hungry. I tried to sell my bike at the pawn shop, but the man said it's not worth much. He said pink bikes are for babies." The other bikers, rough-looking men with tattoos, scars, and hearts they tried hard to hide, exchanged glances. They'd seen a lot on the road, but this hit somewhere deep. The leader, whose name was Logan, crouched to her level. "Where's your mom, kid?" "In the alley," she whispered, pointing across the street toward a narrow gap between 2 old brick buildings. She said not to talk to strangers. "But you look nice." That last sentence broke something in him. The bikers followed her across the street, boots splashing through puddles. When they turned the corner, they saw her mother, sitting on a wet cardboard sheet, clutching her stomach, pale and trembling. She looked barely 30, with eyes that had once been bright, but were now dulled by pain and shame. When she saw the bikers, she tried to stand. "Please, don't hurt us. We're just resting." "Ma'am," Logan said, raising his hands, "we're not here to hurt you. Your little girl said you're hungry." The woman's lips quivered. "I didn't tell her to beg. I told her not to." But her voice cracked before she could finish. She turned away, wiping her face as her daughter ran to her, hugging her waist. "Mommy, I found someone who might buy my bike." The little girl said proudly, "You can eat tonight." Logan felt his throat tighten. He nodded to one of the men, Tank, the quiet giant of the group, who silently walked back to the diner. Minutes later, he returned with bags of food, burgers, fries, and hot soup that steamed in the cold air. The mother stared at it as if afraid it might disappear. "I can't take that," she said weakly. "We don't take charity." "It's not charity," Logan replied. "It's a trade. You let us share a meal, and in return, you tell us your story." But the woman hesitated, but her daughter's hungry eyes made the decision for her. She nodded. They sat together on the damp sidewalk under a broken awning, sharing the warm food. The girl giggled softly as she bit into a fry, and the bikers couldn't help but smile. But beneath that warmth was a heavy silence waiting to break. When the mother finally spoke, her voice was faint, almost like a confession. "My name's Amanda," she said. "We had a house once. A good one. My husband worked at the old mill, until it closed. We thought we'd make it through, but then something happened." Her fingers tightened around the paper cup of soup. "A man came. Said he'd help us refinance. He took everything. Our savings, our house, even my husband's truck. We lost it all. My husband tried to find him but ended up in an accident." She paused, swallowing hard. "Since then, it's just been me and Lily." Logan's jaw clenched. He glanced at the others, who were equally still. There was something in Amanda's tone, a quiet kind of truth that made anger simmer beneath their ribs. "What was his name?" Tank asked quietly. Amanda looked up. "Derek Lawson." The name sent a chill through the air. Logan exchanged a look with one of the bikers. "A wiry man named Cole. You sure about that?" Amanda nodded. "He said he ran a veterans support fund. But when we went to the police, they said there was no record of it." Cole stood abruptly, running a hand through his hair. "I knew that name. He scammed our friend Danny last year, took his truck and his savings. The same story." The group went silent. Then Logan's expression hardened in that way men's do when they've decided something can't stand. Where's this Lawson now? Amanda shook her head. I don't know. But I heard he's running a used car lot in the next county. Logan's eyes darkened, but his voice remained calm. You and your girl, stay put tonight. We'll come back. Amanda tried to protest, but before she could, they were already walking away, helmets in hand. Engines roared to life, and within moments, the alley was empty again, except for the soft hum of rain. Hours later, the sound returned, louder this time. When the bikers came back, they weren't empty-handed. Logan walked up, carrying a thick brown envelope and a set of keys. He dropped them gently beside Amanda. What's this? She asked, her voice shaking. Your husband's truck, he said. And the money that man took. Her eyes widened. How? Logan smiled faintly. Let's just say he won't be running any more scams. The law knows now. You're not the only one he hurt. Amanda's tears spilled freely as she stared at the keys. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything, he replied softly. Just promise me you'll never sell that pink bike again. It's your little girl's heart. The little girl, Lily, looked up from her food. You mean I can keep it? Logan nodded. Yeah, sweetheart. And next time you ride it, make sure your mommy's watching. Because you've already done something pretty brave today. She smiled. A real one this time. The kind of smile that could melt through clouds. Amanda reached out and gripped Logan's hand with trembling fingers. Thank you, she whispered. You didn't have to. Yes, we did, he said. Because once, someone helped me when I had nothing. Now it's my turn. The rain had stopped by then. The street shimmered beneath the dim streetlights, reflecting their silhouettes. Logan turned to his men, giving a small nod, and they started their engines once more. But before he left, he looked back one last time, at the woman holding her daughter, at the pink bicycle leaning against the wall, at the life slowly beginning again. And as the roar of the motorcycles faded into the distance, Amanda looked up at the night sky, whispering a quiet prayer, not for herself, but for the strangers who had reminded her that sometimes angels don't have wings. They ride Harley Davidsons.